Good morning, readers. I am so happy to be here with you right now. My name is Mrs. Katie O'Brien, and I was born and raised in San Francisco, California. After moving to New Jersey at 19 years old, I began doing set design for TV shows on the Food Network. Do you know Emeril Lagasse? I helped make the set that he cooked in front of. It was pretty cool stuff. After a while, I left television to become a teacher. I currently teach at Roosevelt Elementary School in River Edge, New Jersey. I've been teaching in River Edge for about 5 years now. There is not much else that I would rather be than a teacher. You could say that teaching and I go together like tuna fish and cheese. Like cheese pizza dipped in ranch dressing. Like hot French fries dipped in a cold chocolate frosty. What? Why are you looking at me like that? You know, sometimes two unlikely things can come together to become extraordinary partners. In today's lesson, I am going to introduce you to two more unpredictable duos. I will do this by reading two nonfiction or true stories about unexpected friends. While we read together, we are going to focus on two different strategies to help us along. The first is using imagery. When we read, we should really try to bring these words to life by imagining what these words actually look like. This will help us make a movie in our mind. We can imagine what's happening like it's real life. We'll better understand what we're reading, and we'll have more fun with the whole process. I will support this type of thinking by showing you pictures in the background next to the texts that we are reading. And speaking of support, we are also going to find evidence from the texts to back up facts. Because after all, a fact that hasn't been backed up with evidence, it's not a fact. After we finish our two articles, we'll take a short break. And by the way, I have quite the surprise for you during that break. We return to our lesson. We are going to transition or move towards writing. I will explain what a Venn diagram is, also how we can fill one out, and then you're going to see gently how easily we can take the notes from our diagram to turn it into a short response to a question. It may seem that we have set some pretty high goals for ourselves in the next hour, but I promise that if you stick with me, this will be a breeze. To participate in this lesson, you will need a piece of paper and a pencil. If you have a way to type, you may also type with me. Typing is the method that I will use, but you will reach the same level of success with just a pencil and piece of paper. You ready? I am. Let's begin. From Owen and Mazet, The Language of Friendship. Told by Isabella Hatkoff, Craig Hatkoff, and Dr. Paula Kahumbu. In a special place in Kenya live two great friends. A young hippopotamus named Owen and a 130-year-old giant tortoise named Mazet. No one guessed that they would become friends or that they would become famous around the world. And no one expected that their friendship would last so long. But the story of Owen and Massey has always been full of surprises. Here is the true story of their first remarkable year and a half together. When Owen was a baby, he lived with his mother in a pod with about 20 other hippos. Their home was the Sabaki River in Kenya. But when Owen was about 1 year old, his life changed forever. That December, the river flooded, and the hippo pod was washed to the river mouth near the coastal village of Malindi. And that is where hippos were on the morning of December 26th, 2004, when the surging waves of a powerful tsunami struck. Afterwards, only one hippopotamus could be seen, the baby hippo who came to be known as Owen. Hundreds of villagers and visitors worked all day to rescue Owen from the coral reef on which he was stranded. Owen was only about 2 feet tall, but he weighed a solid 600 pounds. And the sweater made him, the sweater. Did you hear me? I was talking about how heavy the hippopotamus was. And then within the same breath, within the same sentence, I started to tell you about him wearing a sweater. That didn't seem right, did it? I paused because I realized in my mind, no true story features a hippo wearing a sweater as everybody rescues him. So, I'm listening to myself as I read. Good readers want to make sure that they listen to themselves to make sure that they sound right. And my goodness, I caught myself. The word is seawater, not sweater. Please allow me to begin that sentence again. Owen was only about 2 feet tall, but he weighed a solid 600 pounds. And the seawater made him very slippery. That makes more sense. Owen wasn't used to people, and out of fear and anger, he tried to escape from anyone who came near. Finally, a courageous or very brave visitor named Owen Sobian, you catch Owen and Owen, tackled the baby hippo, giving the others just enough time to secure him with a net. And the joyous crowd named the hippo Owen in honor of this brave man. Cool. Many hours later, after a long, jolting ride in the back of a truck, Owen arrived at what would become his new home, a lush wildlife sanctuary called Haller Park, which was developed on the site of a restored limestone quarry. Cool use of resources. The park workers, including Dr. Paula Kahumbu, the manager, Sabine Bear, ecologist, and Sabine Bear is the ecologist, pardon me, and Stephen Tway, the chief animal caretaker. They thought carefully about where in the park Owen should go. Why would they do that? Why would these 3 people who are in charge of making sure that all of the animals that are there in this wildlife sanctuary, a place where animals are brought to be kept safe, a sanctuary, why would these people think about where to put him? Why would they give it thought? Let's think about this for a second. The baby hippo, now named Owen, is just that, a baby. We need to be careful with babies. Babies are tiny and they're fragile. That could be one reason. I mean, Babies can't defend themselves. If an animal has been brought to a wild animal sanctuary, then there are going to be other more dangerous animals there. We wouldn't want to pair him up with an animal that could hurt him. I think we want to protect him. And I think that the reason why the author went so far as to tell us that these three people thought carefully, I think that means that we are supposed to pay attention to why. This is a supporting detail. This has something to do with caring for Owen. You see, 3 full-grown hippos already lived at Howler Park, but hippos, they often attack other hippos they don't know. Okay, there's one reason why those 3 needed to think so hard about where they should place Owen. We would not want the baby being attacked by larger hippos. Wow, that's crazy that hippos will attack other hippos that they don't know. All right, that's cool. Young Owen might be in danger if he were placed with them. Instead, these 3 people, they chose an enclosure or a closed-in area that they call a boma. And this is where smaller, gentler animals live. Okay. So they had the option of bringing the baby hippo to a safer spot. And so that's why they were able to figure out, okay, should he go here? Should they go there? Some of the baby and the gentle animals that lived in the boma are called bush bucks, vervet monkeys, and a few Aldabra tortoises. So enter the tortoise. One of those tortoises was a grumpy 130-year-old male named Mazet. It was late at night when Owen was finally set free into the boma. No one could believe what happened next. Owen scrambled straight across the clearing to Mazet and crouched down beside him. Mazet seemed annoyed, and he crawled away. But Owen, he just followed him. And the next morning, Owen and Mazet were found snuggled up, cuddling next to each other. 2 unlikely companions coming together to become the best of teammates. Their extraordinary friendship had begun. Extraordinary. What a word. What extraordinary mean here? We're talking about their relationship. So I would say that in this case, extraordinary could mean that they had a very surprising relationship. As it said, no one expected what would happen next. So I would go ahead and say that in this case, the word extraordinary would really mean very surprising. So their extraordinary or very surprising friendship had begun. At first, Dr. Paula, Sabine, and Stephen, they doubted. They didn't have faith that the bond between the baby hippo and the giant tortoise, who was grumpy, would last. They expected Owen would soon realize that his new parent was not a hippo at all. And it is virtually unheard of, like totally nobody's ever heard of this before, for a reptile such as Mazet to form any attachments with any animal, especially a mammal such as Owen. But nothing turned out the way anyone expected. During the first days of Owen's rescue, his caretakers were worried because Owen, he wasn't eating. And he wasn't eating the leaves that Stephen had left out for him. Still a nursing baby, Owen hadn't learned yet how to forage for grass or how to eat grass on his own. And then they noticed that Mazet seemed to be showing Owen what to do. Before long, Owen was chewing on a few leaves too. As the weeks went on, everyone watched in wonder as Owen and Mazet spent more and more time together. They wallowed in the pond together, ate together, and slept side by side. Mazet's companionship, or friendship, or partnership seemed to be helping Owen heal from the trauma, the hardship of his difficult experiences. News, right? Think of the news, breaking news of this astonishing friendship spread quickly around the world. People flocked, meaning they came in huge waves and in huge crowds to Hallard Park to see Owen and Mazet for themselves. Those who couldn't travel to Kenya read about them in books, in news stories, and on the internet. Owen and Mazet were beloved stars. And now, a year and a half later, their friendship is even stronger than ever. Their bond has developed beyond what anyone has ever seen in two such different animals. I think that makes this unlikely, right? I think a good word that we could put in here to describe their relationship would be unlikely. To the workers who observe them every day, Owen and Mazet clearly seem to have true affection for each other. They often see Owen licking Mazet's face, or Mazet resting his head on Owen's broad belly. They seem happiest when they are together. In this nonfiction article that we just read, entitled The Language of Friendship, we learned facts about an unexpected companionship between a baby hippo and a super old tortoise. To boost our comprehension or understanding of this passage, we used visual information or pictures to better understand what we're reading. We also found and discussed evidence that support claims. In other words, we saw how an author uses reasons and evidence to support particular points in a text. For our second article, we are going to read an excerpt or a section of a story called From Animal Heroes, True Rescue Stories. Cool. And this particular rescue story is entitled Helping Paws. And it was written by Sandra Markle. Helping Paws. Good title. Helping. All right, so somebody's going to be helping somebody else out. Paws. Maybe it's not somebody who's helping somebody else out. Maybe it's an animal that's helping somebody out. That's my prediction. Let's see. Craig Cook has a very special service partner. A 25-year-old female capuchin monkey named Minnie. In 1996, when he was 30 years old, Craig was in a car accident that left him a quadriplegic. Whoa, 5-syllable word. Quadriplegic means somebody whose arms and legs are no longer working properly. For several years, Craig needed help from other people for such basic needs as getting a drink of water. Then Minnie came through the Helping Hands organization. Minnie was born at Southwick Zoo in Mendon, Massachusetts, as part of the Special Helping Hands program. When she was a baby, she was given to a foster family who cared for her and helped her learn to live with people. She learned basic skills like obeying rules and fetching on command. This is a monkey we're talking about. Next, Minnie attended the Helping Hands Monkey College for 2 years. And at the college, she learned tasks that would help a handicapped person. And these included taking food out of a refrigerator, turning pages in a book one at a time, and picking up objects that had been dropped. Wow, it is a long training process, but capuchin monkeys can live to be 45 years old. So they can be counted on to provide service for many years. Craig said, "Living with Minnie is like living with a good friend. And since she's been with me, Minnie's learned even more neat things to do, like make popcorn in the microwave. Thanks to Minnie, I can live independently with caregivers only coming in for a short time each day. And when I go out, instead of being seen as the guy in the wheelchair, I'm now the guy with the monkey." How cool is that? Can we please pause for a moment and take a look at that last paragraph? Because that was the last paragraph of the article. There's a lot going on in that last paragraph. The sentence that reads, "Thanks to Minnie, I can now live independently with caregivers only coming in for a short time each day." That sentence shows that a problem has been solved. Thanks to Minnie, I can now. That's a solution. That tells us that the way that this was organized is by problem or challenge and solution. That's cool. So at the end, we found the solution to a challenge. Also, the word independently is in there. Independently. That's another fiver. Independently. If he can now live independently with people only coming in every now and then to check on him, well, independently must mean on his own. What great clues that the author gave us to figure out what it means. It means without assistance. In this article, we were introduced to another unlikely pair. And in this case, it was a capuchin monkey and his human animal buddy, Craig Cook. Once again, we have used images or pictures to help us better visualize or see what these words mean or represent. And we also took a moment to look at that last paragraph and break it apart, to kind of unpack it a little bit and see what more information we can get out of it. Let's take a 5-minute break. At the end of our break, we are going to continue to practice and implement these two strategies with a second article about two unlikely friends. And for our break time, I am very proud to present to you a magic show.
Friends, neighbors, children of all ages, I would like to welcome you to your brain break. I am the incredible John Regan. I am also a public school educator, and I, like all your teachers, miss teaching and entertaining kids just like you. Next, let's enjoy some magic tricks and jokes. For my first trick, I will demonstrate one of my very own inventions. I invented my very own invisible cloak. Pretty cool, right? For my next trick, I will show off some of my new culinary skills. I learned some new ways to cook and recipes. Dylan, your toast is ready. Hocus pocus! If that's not enough, here's a newfound way to get a healthy snack. Abracadabra. Next, I will levitate my very own 4-year-old assistant, Dylan Danger Regan.
I'm flying.
And for my next trick, I've decided that having one of me is simply not enough. So I've invented my very own clone. Telling jokes is always better when you have your own clone. What is the difference between weather and climate? You can't weather a tree, but you can climb it. And what kind of a plant can you grow in your hand? A palm tree. A piece of string goes into a restaurant and says, "Can I please get some service here?" The restaurant owner says, "Sorry, buddy, we don't serve string around these parts." So next day he goes back in, of course, and says, "Can I please get some service here?" And the restaurant owner again says, "Sorry, buddy, we don't serve string around these parts." Third day he tries again, and he gets so frustrated when the restaurant owner says, "Sorry, buddy, we don't serve string around these parts." So the string leaves. He goes out, he's so upset and frustrated, he starts tying himself up and kind of tearing himself apart, and he's all tied up, and he goes back into the restaurant and says, "Can I please get some service here?" And the restaurant owner says, "Hey, aren't you that piece of string that keeps coming in here?" And the string says, "No, I'm afraid not." So there's 2 muffins, and they're baking in the oven. And one says to the other muffin, "Phew, is it getting hot in here, or is it just me?" And the other muffin says, "Ah, a talking muffin." All right. For my final trick, I will show you a fun way to communicate with your friends. Hi, Mrs. Rinkoff. How are you?
I'm great, Mr. Regan. How are you? Just a little thirsty. I was out for a walk. Hi, DMS. How you doing? I hope you're doing well.
Okay, great. So we were hoping they had a joke for us.
Oh, that's right. The joke of the day. Hold on. I need a prop for this one. I'll be right back.
I'm actually kind of thirsty. You good?
Okay. Sorry, I needed a prop. We needed to step up our game here. Okay, why was the baby mango crying?
I don't know.
Because its mommy was in a jam. Anyway, I gotta go. I'm gonna actually go walk again, but I'm really thirsty. Where did my water go? Mr.
See you, Mrs. Rinkoff.
Bye, Mr. Regan.
And that concludes your brain break. Back to you, Miss Katie O'Brien.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. I know I sure did. We have just read the passages Owen and Mazet, The Language of Friendship, and Helping Paws from Animal Heroes, True Rescue Stories. We used visualization and looked at how an author uses reasons and evidence to support facts. Now, let's take a look at what these articles have in common and what's different about them. Have you ever heard of a Venn diagram? A Venn diagram is this cool picture that you can fill in with details to better understand something. And it's actually just made up of two different circles that come together in the middle. That's not a good job with my hands, really, but that is better. So what we want to do is we want to label our Venn diagram. This one section in particular will only be about this one article, whereas the other section will only be about the other article. The portion in the middle, that's what they both have in common. And so just by filling out this Venn diagram, we're going to be able to actually see the similarities and differences between these articles. We're going to use information directly from the readings. Did you know that when you're being asked to summarize or tell about what you've just read, that not only are you allowed to look back in the text for information, but you're kind of supposed to. We want you to do that. So what does that look like? Let's go ahead and see how we can do that now. All right, so check this out. How cool is this? This is our Venn diagram that we're going to use right now. This is going to be for Owen and Mazet's details. This area will be for Minnie and Craig's information. And this section where both circles come together will be what they both have in common. So let's begin by labeling our Venn diagram. And we're going to bring Owen and Mazet all the way up here as our title. Then we're going to bring Minnie and Craig over here to title this portion of the diagram. Now, let's take a look at the monkey. All right, who was the monkey? Minnie was the monkey, that's right. So we're gonna bring Minnie the monkey over here. Who was the hippo? Owen was the hippo, very good. So we bring him under Owen and Mazet. The tortoise? That's right, Mazet, very good. The human? Craig, that's right. Craig is the human. Very good. Thank you very much for your help. So what about this guy? That is the word animals. Well, look at that. The hippo and the tortoise and the monkey and the human, well, they're all animals. That's right. Humans are animals. So we have found our first thing in common. Let's keep going. Let's see if location is something that both stories have in common. This location of Massachusetts, I know that that is where Minnie was when she was being trained. And Kenya is where Owen and Mazet were. Now, Massachusetts is in the United States, and Kenya is in Africa. So this is in North America, and this is Africa, and they're two different continents. They're two entirely different places. So we cannot say that they have location in common. To try and say that they're both on the planet, so they both live in the world, I think that's too much of a stretch. So we're not going to go that far. All right. So let's keep going and see what else we've got. We've got Mazet helped Owen. All right. Well, that clearly goes there. We know Mazet helped him. What about Minnie helped Craig? Everything moved and got goofy. That's absolutely right. Minnie helped Craig. Wow, this is kind of exciting. Okay, we'll leave it right there, guys. All right, so we know that one helped here and one helped here. And so that means that we now have something else in common, and that would be helpers. Both stories had one animal helping another. And then, after we learned about how they helped one another, really because they did help one another, didn't they? We learned that a hippo and a tortoise became friends. Well, we also learned that a monkey and a person became friends. And so what does that mean is the third thing that both of these articles have in common? That's right. They both formed unlikely friendships. And look what we have now. We have this beautiful picture that shows us what we just learned. Way to go. Thanks for your help.
Cool. So now what? Now we are ready to attack and conquer a question about the articles. Like it's nothing. Here is the question. You have read the passage from Owen and Musset, The Language of Friendship, and Helping Paws from Animal Heroes, True Rescue Stories. Describe what the articles have in common. Support your ideas with evidence. No way. That's the question? That's exactly what we've been doing this whole time. We've got this, no problem. We're even going to use our Venn diagram drawing to help us write this. We basically have all the information together. We're good to go. Now what we need to do is take the notes that we left in the Venn diagram, turn them into complete sentences. And this is how we're going to do that.
We have done a wonderful job of creating this thorough and complete Venn diagram. And we are now going to use it to answer our question where we need to describe the similarities, right? There are 1, 2, 3 similarities between the two articles, and that we need to back those similarities up with evidence, all right? And this is going to be the evidence that we back it up with. It's like we've done it. We just need to put it into sentences now. So because we're going to answer a question, we're going to begin by hitting the tab key one time if we're typing, because we want to indent. And we also want to pretend that the person who is going to be reading this, the person or people, that they have zero idea what it is we're talking about. And so that's how thorough we want to be. If anything, we want to give more information than we need to. So let's begin by repeating the articles. So the language of friendship. Notice how I titled or capitalized L and F here because this is the title. The language of friendship, and here I come with the capitalization again because these are the titles of the articles. They have 1, 2, 3. 3 things in common. Period. That's it. That's your first sentence. That's it. Like, look, there they are. How cool is that? Now, we were also asked, though, to back ourselves up. We have to give evidence. So, okay, no problem. Let's start with the first thing that they have in common. The first thing they have in common is what? Animals. Are animals. All right, so we named the first thing that they have in common. Talk about the animals. What are they? Back it up. The animals are the hippo, the tortoise. See where I'm getting them from? The hippo, the tortoise, the monkey, and the human. Period. That's it. That's it. We're done now completely with the first point. So what are we going to do? We're going to move on to that's right, the second one. And so the second thing that they have in common is that they both have helpers. So let's just write that. The second thing that these articles have in common is that they both have helpers, right? So we should back that up though. Like, who are the helpers? What are you talking about? Well, here's one piece of evidence and here's the other. Let's put them down. Musset helped Owen. Well, what did Musset help Owen with? One of the things that he helped him with was learning how to eat, right? Helped Owen learn how to eat.
And Minnie helped Craig. What did Minnie help Craig with? Yes, my goodness. And Minnie helped Craig become more independent. P-E-N-D-E-N-T. There we go. Very good. Wow. So that meant that Craig was able to do more things on his own. That leaves one more thing. Look, we're almost done. That's it. So the third thing that they have in common is that they talk about, both articles talk about unlikely friendships. So the last thing, because we're not going to talk about anything else, right? That they have in common is they both, should we say, talk about unlikely, see, here we go, we're just using it, friendships. Oh, look, I put in one too many spaces. No need really to wait until the end when you know you've made a mistake. You just catch it, okay? So let's talk about those friendships. And we're going to take our evidence directly from here. One friendship was about, was it really about? It was between. Was between a baby hippo and a giant old, old tortoise. That's it. Look at that. Now all we have to do is put in the next fact from over here. The other was between a monkey and a human. Now, we just listed all three facts that both articles have in common. We could totally be done here, but the thing is like to finish here would be like to hand somebody a sandwich that you had spent all this time making and like not put the last piece of bread on top. Like it's not finished. Okay, it's true that some like open face sandwiches are delightful, but that's not what we're making right now. We're not making an open face sandwich. Okay, this is an actual sandwich with like bread on all sides. So the top piece of bread is where we're kind of like repeating the question, right? We're like up here. We're letting people know what we're about to talk about. So let's let people know what we just talked about, right? We just talked about two articles that have three things in common. So let's write that. These two articles have three things in common. What are they? We listed them already, so we don't want to rewrite the paragraph again and again and again and get lost in the spiral of a never-ending paragraph. So instead, maybe let's add one more thought, reflection, where we can look back upon this and end it poetically, nicely. And they showed us that there we go, and showed us that different creatures, I don't like creatures, beings, that's better, can come together and become wonderful friends. Remember that friends has that IE vowel combination. Look at this. Do you see this? Look what we did. We worked together to create this amazing Venn diagram with fantastic information, and then we used the information that was there to just put it into complete sentences. And honestly, my friends, this is a boss paragraph. This is a fantastic response. Way to go.
As you well know by now, today we read two articles about relationships between unusual pairs of animals. The first example was the friendship between Owen, the hippo, and Mazet, the tortoise. The second was between Minnie, the capuchin monkey, and the human animal, Craig Cook. While we read both passages, we used imagery and supporting details to strengthen our understanding of the information that we read together. We then learned about a Venn diagram and how we can use it to find what two different things have that are unique to one another, meaning that's only for them, or what it is that they share and have in common. And if all of that wasn't impressive enough, we finished up by writing a completely awesome response to a tough question. That's right. That was a tough question. But because we took it one step at a time, we nailed it. I have had many favorite moments in the time that we have shared together today. But my absolute favorite part of this lesson was realizing that bringing different things, animals, or people together, it's not only okay, but it can result in learning about and experiencing wonderful new things. Just like popcorn with hot sauce drizzled on top of it, or pickles dipped in orange juice, or ketchup drizzled on top of macaroni and cheese. Thank you for taking the time to learn with me today. I had a fantastic time with you. Be well, New Jersey.